AFS passes the first test. It does address the issue of mutual suspicion from fellow users as well as from the server. Unfortunately, AFS fails the second test, and that is protecting the user from the system. There's no way to protect the user from the system because the user has to trust the system. Everything is stored on the system, so in that sense, there's no protection for the user from the system itself. It also fails on the third attribute, confinement of resource usage. For instance, a given user can make a lot of calls on the server. In other words, they could consume a lot of network bandwidth. There's no way to confine resource usage in the Andrew file system. And this can also be the basis for denial of service attacks. If one malicious user or an errant program that is running on the virtual workstation starts generating a whole bunch of network packets, genuine network packets, directed at the server, it can inundate the network and prevent others from getting useful work done. So in other words, confinement of resource usage is not something that is addressed in the AFS system. It passes the authentication test. We can validate in both directions, the client and the server. So the answer is yes on that one. The last attribute is the integrity of the server. Remember that in the Andrew system, the assumption is that the clients running on the virtual workstation, they communicate to Vice using insecure links. On the other hand, the servers themselves are inside, in some sense, a firewall, and therefore they don't need any secure communication. So the links that are inside the server network is assumed to be secure, and therefore there is no authentication or encryption inside the server network. Therefore, if somebody were to somehow get into that firewall, they can create havoc. So the only way you can give server integrity in the Andrew file system is by physically enforcing who can get into those walls of the server. So physical and social mores are the only way to secure the integrity of the servers themselves. So I'm going to give it not a passing mark on server integrity because by design, the servers are assumed to be in a secure environment. And that can be one of the biggest sources of vulnerabilities.